Hello my friends, I'm going to share with you today how I installed the Skeg pocket and control unit. After the Skeg pocket is cleaned up, a pattern board is cut to be used with the plunge router. Here I'm making a test cut in a 1/4 inch sheet of plywood, and I'll do a dry fit to make sure that my pattern is accurate. I'm sanding the thick areas on the pocket and any rough areas that I may find to give a smooth final finish to the pocket. You can see here the controlled cable is already pre-attached and fit into the pocket, and if the pocket fits into the test piece, it will fit into the Kayak. I'm attaching the router template onto the base of the Kayak. The position is checked and double checked, and the tape is securing it, and this is an area where if it comes loose you can ruin the cut into the Kayak. So make sure that is extremely tight when you finish it up ready for the cutting. This is the point where my hands are sweating and I have images of different types of inlay patterns that I would design and put into this section of the Kayak if there's any mishap in this operation. Fortunately, the cutting went as planned. A perfect fit. I'm leveling the Kayak and securing it to the sawhorses. Next, the scag has to be held into the proper position, has to be perpendicular and supported, and you need to protect the hull of the Kayak from epoxy that might be wicking out. Here you can see duct tape taped around the hull. At this point, I'm putting a homemade squaring jig clamped to the skeg. This will hold it perpendicular and secure while I'm epoxying. I pre-cut glass at a diagonal, 4 strips, 2 on each side. The narrow one goes on first and the wider one over top. After I glass, I like to cover the glass with a sheet of plastic. This leaves a very smooth finish. The capillary action is kind of locked with the plastic being over top. It gives a finish that needs minimal sanding. No rough edges of the glass will be protruding. After the epoxy has cured overnight, I'm using my hand plane to take down the pocket edges. I'm fairing it to the hull. This is pretty hard on the plane. After I'm done, I'm going to have to sharpen the knife because I am cutting through glass with it. While fairing the pocket to the hull, I'm using touch more than vision. I can gauge within a thousandth or two of an inch of any imperfection by touching, better than my eyesight. The pocket works smoothly. The scratches are being touched up with a high quality spar varnish. While I have this out, I'm also touching up scratches that I acquired in a Florida visit off of some oyster shells. So the epoxy or the spar varnish touched up the epoxy very well. The removal of any air bubbles in this spar varnish can be easily done by dragging the tip of a foam brush over top. The varnish is dried. Here's the picture of the skeg in the outward position, and here it's inside the pocket. Next, the control unit needs mounted. Here I'm cleaning up the pocket insert for the control unit. A pattern board is cut and tested, and everything was fine. Now it needs to be secured onto the kayak hull, and same procedure as with the skeg pocket. I'm going to secure it with duct tape, and right here I'm making a mistake which I had pre-thought of and forgot. I'm putting the pocket in line with the recess cup. The air was manageable. What I had to do on the interior is I had to reset my pocket insert a little bit deeper than was planned, and the cable that's going to run through that pocket runs across and hits in on the inside of that cup. And I had to remove a portion of the cup on the inside, which did not do any damage to the exterior of the cup. So I was lucky on this one. The position of this opening should have been either a half-inch higher or a half-inch lower than the existing position that I have it in. That would have gave plenty of clearance for that tie-down pocket. The next components are going to be dry fit to make sure that all the mechanics are functioning properly. Here I have the connection between the soft cable and the tube being held with heat shrink tape. I have 2 layers of this holding it together. The copper tubing runs through the pocket. Here you can see a small hole ground into the one edge. This is to secure the cable onto the tube. I'm using a piece of nylon handle stock to make a connector. You can see on the end here I have 2 holes drilled. They crisscross and intersect in the middle. The one hole is tapped with a 1/4 thread. This is for a stainless set screw that will come down, connect through the hole, and attach to the cable. The cable end is terminated with some heat shrink tubing. This keeps the cable from fraying and from getting poked with it. The cable run has to be secured on the interior of the hull of the kayak. I did this at 3 different locations. I cut some oak or walnut blocks and epoxied them onto the hull. This location here is a piece of fiberglass that I used to secure the metal tubing into its location. I intend to use silicone to do a permanent secure. I chose a dolphin figure to be used as my control handle. Here I have it rough cut and I'm epoxying a piece of glass to the underside. This is because when I'm carving there's fine details that may break in the process. After curing, the plastic is easily removed from the fiberglass and leaves a very smooth finish. Here the underside needs trimmed. A hole is drilled to fit the nylon handle stock, and I have some countersink holes on the side to give it better holding power. I'm filing a groove around the perimeter of the nylon to help secure the epoxy to the control handle.
I mixed up epoxy. I'm using System 3. It's 1 part hardener and 2 part resin. And I get the medium speed, which it'll cure overnight. But what I'm going to do is take some of this and thin it. And you can use alcohol. I'm using 91% isopropyl. And what this will allow you to do is apply it to a wood finish, and it will soak in real deep. And I learned this from living on a sailboat, living on the water for a couple of years. This will soak deep into the wood, and when it cures, we have a good base. I didn't need all that dirt on there. And I have a little bit of the solid or unthinned epoxy, and what I'm going to do is mix some sanding dust in there and make a filler. And you have to get this thick enough that it won't drip like it's dripping there. Okay, there's my putty. And this is going in, and I have those holes drilled so it's undercut. And I'm going to push this into the holes. I know I have too much there. Okay, now this will be pushed on to the control. And right here, you can see, and I have this undercut. The undercut, I'm going to make sure that that slot is filled. And of course you can see I put a piece of plastic underneath. can see it's sucked into the wood. See where it pushed out? We need this into the position that I want it. Here's the finished scag with the control.
We just love this kayak. Thanks for watching, my friends. Bye-bye.